white cross on a red background, the symbol of one of the most important knighthoods of the Catholic Church. Founded in the year 1099 in Amalfi. They were known as the Knights Hospitalier, later on as the Knights of Rodi, and in the end as the Knights of Malta, where they resided until Napoleon didn't kick them out. And since then, they've been a state without a state, which has their own seat in the United Nations, and it's one of the most powerful orders of men, of chivalric nature, in the planet. So today another great special in Arcane Revelations. We talk about the Sovereign Order of the Knights of Malta. But we're also going to talk about Cagliostro, this very enigmatic figure that was associated with the Knights of Malta, and the revenge of the Knights Templars. And we arrive here in front of their Palazzo dei Cavalieri di Rodi, this other headquarters of the Knights of Malta, probably the less known of the three bases the Knights of Malta have in Rome. The first one, where we started a special today dedicated to the Knights of Malta, is the one we found in Via Condotti 68, which is actually their logistic headquarters. Then we have their spiritual headquarters up the hill in the Aventino, where we're going to be going later on. But as I told you before, when we were in Via Condotti, the Knights of Malta were called earlier on Knights of Rodi, and obviously Knights Hospitaliers, because their job was to look after the pilgrims and also not only protect them, but bringing them assistance in every way possible, meaning also medically and all the rest. This building is right in the center of the Foro Imperiale. It's a building of great importance that shows you how the Knights of Malta are also residing on the ruins that symbolize the political power of the Roman Empire. So the Knights of Malta and the Palazzo dei Cavalieri di Rodi is present today in our special because of great historical importance. And though is the less known of the Knights of Malta buildings here in Rome, we have decided to show it to you. It's amongst the ruins of the Foro Imperiale, where the great men of ancient Rome used to discuss politics. For the first time in history, great debates on the validity of democracy, or on how we should create the illusion of democracy. Well, they were done all here in the Foro Imperiale. But still nowadays, the Knights of Malta, every now and then, when there is an official visit, have their flag right there in the center of Rome to symbolize their power over Rome and over the world. Cagliostro is planning in Rome, Your Holiness, and this time he will not escape us. The times are mature for his end. The other night he was in the headquarters of the Knights of Malta on the Aventino Hill, and in front of the hierarchy of the Catholic Church and the aristocracy he gave a demonstration of his Egyptian Masonic ritual, and he started prophesying his absolute prophecies, where he said that the King of France will be beheaded soon, that the King of France will be imprisoned and beheaded in Place de la Concorde. I received this document from Cardinal Rohan, and is asking the Catholic Church to accept Cagliostro Egyptian Masonic ritual as an official like ritual for the Church of Rome. This is an heresy. This is insanity. This is the revenge of the Knights Templars, of which Cagliostro now is the main speaker. Cagliostro is talking on behalf of the Knights Templars. Piazza dei Cavalieri di Malta. We are in the piazza, the square of the Knights of Malta in Rome, where the priory, the headquarters of the Knights of Malta, resides spiritually, even if logistically, as I said, the orders and all the various offices are in Via Condotti 68. Here we have really the main residence of the Knights of Malta, and this was after their time in the Palazzo dei Cavalieri di Rodi. That was their prior headquarters until 1763. In that year, a cardinal by the name of Giambattista Rezzonico, Cardinal Rezzonico, moved, he was the Grand Prior, moved the headquarters here on the Aventino Hill and took an old church of the Knights Templars and made it the headquarters of the Knights of Malta. This church, there we can see the flag of the villa of the Knights of Malta, and this church is basically the church of Santa Maria del Priorato, which means Santa Maria of the Priory. The Grand Priory of the Knights of Malta, which obviously we can see in the symbolism very clearly here of the square of the Knights of Malta. In fact, we have the crosses here of the Knights of Malta, very clearly depicted. We have a very complex symbology due to the fact, obviously, that the Knights of Malta inherited from the Knights Templars not only their church and their base in Rome, but also their tradition, the alchemical tradition which characterize the work of a very famous Grand Master of the Knights of Malta that became the tutor of Giuseppe Balsamo, the Count Cagliostro. And in that time, Cagliostro, that resided for a period in Malta, when the Knights of Malta were still in charge of the island, learned the secrets of alchemy, also from a secret master known as Alto Tas. Alto Tas was this Manuel Pinto, this Grand Master of the Knights of Malta, in reality, which introduced him to various characters, amongst them the cousin of the Prince of San Severo in Naples, and that's why after his period in Malta, Cagliostro went to Naples and then obviously came to Rome. Now, in his last period, Cagliostro, which was accused by the Vatican of being the Grand Master of the Illuminati, stayed here in Rome, and in this place, and actually in this villa, Cagliostro conducted a very particular experiment, a science, how you call it, a science? Yes, when you are evoking spirits. He used to use always a particular character which was supposed to be either a virgin or a little boy. And this character then will talk with the language of the angels, and they will predict the future. And he will see this future depicted within a jar of water. Now, this experiment took place here in the Villa of the Knights of Malta with Cagliostro and senior members of this chivalric order, which is one of the main chivalric orders, actually probably the main, together with the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, of the Vatican. And this experiment shocked the Knights of Malta because of the detailed depiction that Cagliostro gave about the possibility in the next couple of years of an Antichrist arriving in Rome and invading the Holy See. And this was actually Napoleon, this character. So after this experiment, Cagliostro became too dangerous for the Knights of Malta, and thanks to the betrayal of his wife Serafina, who was involved sentimentally also to a certain extent with an officer of this order, he was betrayed and he ended up in the castle of San Leo. He ended up arrested, then he ended up trialed here in Rome, and after that he died after 4 years in the castle of San Leo. We are today here in the headquarters, in the square that represents really the visible power of the Knights of Malta in Rome, to talk also about their contemporary role in international politics, in the affairs of many different states, which the Knights of Malta, in one way or the other, have the possibility to influence. That's why the heads of the CIA and the heads of many different other intelligence organizations are actually Knights of Malta. This is because the tradition of this chivalric order is very important to the Vatican to this day, and also to the whole hierarchy of the Vatican, that together with the Jesuits has established a complete control over not only the believers of their own religion, the Catholic religion, but also of other forms of Christianity, because the Knights of Malta are present as Knights of St. John and Hospitaliers also in the Protestant churches. They are present in Scandinavia, they're in Sweden, and they're present in England with the Queen of England, which shows always a nice cross, white cross on a black background, which symbolizes the Knights of Malta. So each monarch of north of Europe, even if not involved visibly and directly with the Holy See and with the Vatican, are actually involved with this network which belongs to the Knights of Malta, which ultimately have their Grand Priory and their supreme headquarters here in the Aventino Hill. And also very important is the fact that the Knights of Malta have made a secret deal in 1305 that gave them the possibility to slowly take over all the possessions of the Knights Templars. So today we have gone deep into the mysteries of this knighthood, which is very important also for our recent history. In fact, in recent history, the Knights of Malta were involved with the Second World War. At the end of the Second World War, particularly involved with the relocation of the SS officers and the most important Nazi figures in South America and other locations, so they could serve the cause of anti-communism. And we can say without shroud of doubt that the Knights of Malta have been the most powerful intelligence services at the service not only of the Vatican but also of the CIA, so they could fight communism and at the same time create the basis for their new world order, which now is in place.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
Needless to say that George Bush Sr. is a member of the Sovereign Order of the Knights of Malta since his time as head of the CIA, because the Knights of Malta are the most powerful intelligence service ever to be created, at the service of the Vatican and the Jesuit order. We could clearly view the villa of the Grand Priory entrance. We could see all the symbolism in the square dedicated to the Knights of Malta, but unfortunately, due to their extraterritoriality, we couldn't really see their church, which is the church of Saint Mary of the Priory, Santa Maria del Priorato, which is over there, meaning that if I jump this fence here, I get into another state. It's not Italy anymore. It's the utopic state of the Knights of Malta. And we can see from here the front of this church of Santa Maria del Priorato. It's impossible otherwise to see it. We actually had to come into this abbey, which belongs to the Benedictine monks that kindly let us here to film this. Otherwise, the military that were outside there in the square told us there is no way we could get to film their actual church of the Knights of Malta, which is the headquarters of their Grand Priory, spiritual headquarters. Obviously, we have also viewed the entrance and part of the villa of the Knights of Malta Priory. But their spiritual headquarters is over there, that church that used to be of the Knights Templars. And it's very interesting that it's not open to the public, it's in another territory, and it has plenty of Templar symbolism, which obviously we can't see, we can't accede to. So it's hidden from the common eye, from the eye of the profane people, as sometimes we call the people who are not initiated into the arcane mysteries. But today we definitely went as close as possible to these mysteries, with Arcane Revelations and Enigma TV from the Aventino Hill in Rome.